I think that what was addressed during the end of that news conference and what is on a lot of people's minds is why a Blackhawk training exercise is happening so close to the path of incoming commercial jets, especially at Reagan National, which services a lot of our congressmen and women. It just seems like that doesn't make sense. But do you know anything about that?
Absolutely. So one thing is for that military unit, 12th Aviation, this is their training ground. They fly these routes every single day, and it is like that at every airport all around our nation. We want our military to train in every airspace, to be familiar with navigating and conducting operations in every airspace. So this is a very common thing. When we listen to the ATC reports, they invited them into that airspace. So this is a route that they fly daily. So it's very common.
This is normal, and like you said, it's happening all across the country. We, as civilians, are just kind of finding out about this. Zeroing in on exactly how this crash could have happened, I saw people post on social media that, perhaps the pilots inside of that Blackhawk were wearing night vision goggles, and they couldn't tell the difference between lights on the runway and lights on an incoming commercial jet. Does that jive with what you know and what you've experienced?
So there is some of that. One thing that people don't realize is LED lights versus incandescent lights appear very, very differently under goggles. LED lights are bright, bright, bright lights for our eyes, but they're extremely dim under goggles. And so it's a whole nother experience when you're flying with those night vision goggles. The reality of this particular situation is it really just sounds like this air crew had eyes on a different aircraft. And when they were confirming that they had something in sight, it was the wrong aircraft. And there's a lot of ways that can happen. Just in how the Blackhawk flies with its nose down, and your crew chief, it's the crew chief's job to do your airspace surveillance and obstacle avoidance. And so they only had the one, and he's sitting on this side, but the other airplane is approaching from the opposite side, so he wouldn't have had visibility. And there's a number of ways that the pilots both could have their eyes inside the aircraft working on different things. They had just completed a turn, so one could be down looking at maps, and the other one could be looking at the compass to make sure that they have the right heading. They're looking at rotor speeds and torques and engine speeds and all sorts of stuff going on in there. And so it looks like a perfect storm that just went horribly wrong.
I have one question because, obviously the only way we can honor the memory of those 67 people killed is to make changes so that this never happens again. What are your thoughts from your gut, especially with the experience you have, not only to prevent another accident, but how do we prevent a foreign adversary watching all of this play out actually capitalize on some of the lapses that happened in this case?
I have done a lot of interviews in the last few days, and that is my favorite question. That was excellent. Really, one of the things I would like to see is when we are flying in that type of airspace, so around Washington, D.C., around SeaTac out in Seattle, around even Atlanta, was really, really heavy traffic, heavy congestion in the area. I'd like to have another crew chief on board. So we have the other set of eyes. I really believe if there was another set of eyes on the other side of that aircraft, this could have been avoided. Another thing I'd like to see is more work done in how to solve the riddle of getting people on the right frequencies to talk to each other, and how we do those communications. The ATC gave excellent instruction to the Blackhawk 2 minutes prior on where to look, but when they got closer and they're about to actually impact, the direction to look, the elevation to look, and the distance to look did not give the crew anywhere to put their eyes. So that's a huge 360-degree environment up there, and if we don't have that information, we don't know where to look. So you combine that with the lights being lost or dimly lit LEDs because of goggles. There's a number of ways that this all could have played into this.
Well, we certainly will learn. Sometimes the most painful situations come up with great answers and solutions for the future.
Thanks so much for watching. Go to joinnn.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.